committee assignments because they have to discredit what they know to be true. And we've heard it, Jackie, now in text messages from members of Congress, unnamed there by Liz Cheney. But we know the Republicans with direct lines to the White House pleading with Mark Meadows on that day to make Donald Trump stop what was happening. They heard the breaking glass. They heard the bangs on the door of the chamber. They saw it with their own eyes. And even if they went out later and tried to, flip aside what happened that day, they all know this has been a charade for many members of the media, members of Congress, who desperately wanted Donald Trump to do something that day, who know exactly what happened, know how bad it was, but have to go out publicly because they fear Donald Trump, his voters, and on the Fox side, they fear their own viewers, have to say something different than what they know to be true.
Well, that's exactly right. And I think, hearing this new information from Liz Cheney in top Republican leaders and Trump allies in their own words was a pretty jaw-dropping moment for everyone in the room and I think everyone watching. And in Liz Cheney's words, there is no doubt now that people in the White House were aware of exactly what was going on and what did they do in those 187 minutes. This opens up a lot of new questions, whether or not some of these people are potentially culpable for, some of the deaths that happened on January 6th. I think what we also learned last night, aside from the new information and the exact communications, is just how integral Mark Meadows is to this investigation, that he is at the heart of all of the information that was coursing through the White House from these various coups, the outside planning, the Stop the Steal rally, to the legal conspiracy coup that was being planned at the Willard Hotel and in coordination with Trump himself. My colleagues, Josh Dawsey, Tom Hamburger, John Swain, Emma Brown, and I reported over the weekend of this 38-page PowerPoint that Meadows himself circulated amongst lawmakers and people in the White House. He brought some of these conspiracy theorists in to meet with the president. That was referenced last night as well. But I think at the end of the day, these text messages drew out and teased out some raw emotions from people who have been downplaying this insurrection from the very start. And that is really powerful and a good moment, I think, for democracy.
Jackie, great to see you. So we expect today that there'll be a vote to hold Meadows in contempt of Congress. So the next step on that front will belong to Attorney General Merrick Garland. But walk us through what could happen there and the ramifications of what his decision may have on the investigation itself and what lawmakers might be able to see.
Yeah, and John and I were just talking about this offline. I think the House is likely going to vote this out. Chief Justice Garland is going to have to make the decision about whether or not to prosecute Steve Bannon, Mark Meadows. There's so many of them at this point. Jeffrey Clark is still up in the air. But at the end of the day, when the DOJ does decide to criminally prosecute someone, that could have repercussions for the actual investigation. The committee might not get the actual information that they need in criminal prosecution. Yes, Mark Meadows might go to prison. Yes, he might be fined. But at the end of the day, he could walk out of there without giving over a lot of this information that the committee really needs. But he already has given 9,000 pages of personal text messages and documents. He's also opened himself up to other investigations, conducting business on personal cell phones. So we'll see what Merrick Garland does. There's obviously going to be a ton of pressure on him. And last night, I think, was the first step that you saw the committee take to make the public case for that criminal prosecution.